Hello, good evening and welcome to the Spider's Web with me, your host, Bee. I hope this Sunday evening finds you all nice and relaxed and well and that you've been enjoying the lovely warm weather. So, for those that don't know, I've had a couple of challenging months, which is why my video's a bit late coming out, later than I wanted it to come out. I ran over my toe with a wheelie bin about 2.5 months ago. There was a lot of pain, and subsequently I went for an x-ray and found out it was broken, but also a huge piece of skin came off the top of it, the toe, and it was dead underneath, black. So backwards and forwards to the doctors, she finally sent me to A&E and they admitted me for 8 days, only to find that I had a blocked artery. So I had to have an angioplasty, which for anybody that doesn't know, it's a wire that they put down your artery right down into your foot and they inflate a balloon to clear the blockage. So I had that done. That's worked amazingly well, and now I can feel all the pain in my toe, which is great. My nail came off the day of my last appointment, outpatient's appointment, which is pretty gruesome for me because I have a little bit of a phobia about losing nails. But I'm coping, and I'm kind of squinting when I have to change my dressings. I'm going back on the 4th of July to find out whether they can remove the dead skin or whether they have to remove the toe. But I'm staying positive. I've been through worse in my life. If I can cope with all that, I can cope with anything. So I've kind of mentally prepared myself for the news, and I'm really hoping it doesn't come to that, but if it does, I'll have to deal with it. Anyway, I wanted to get this video out because it has been a while, and basically I'm just sat resting, so perfect opportunity. So here, by popular demand, is the second part of Strange Disappearances in the UK. Enjoy! You hear news reports from the UK and around the world of people who go missing, and you wonder why, what's happened. I mean, there's several different reasons for somebody to go missing. Something sinister. It could be an accident. It could be because they want to start a new life. But the families and friends must be always left with questions when somebody disappears that they love so much and never returns. But sometimes the people are still out there, and hopefully videos like this will shine a light on that. And even if it's just one person that hears it, that knows something, they could come forward and put someone's mind at rest. On June the 27th, 1998, 16-year-old Carmel Fenech, also known as Carmel Pendry, who lived in Moyne Road, Broadfield, Crawley, was reported missing to Sussex police. It is now 27 years since Carmel has been seen, and police believe that she's been murdered. Enquiries are continuing. Police discovered that Carmel had last been seen leaving Camberwell Green Magistrates Court in South London on the 21st of May 1998 with an unknown male. When, by the following month, Carmel had not returned home, her mother reported her missing. Since then, police inquiries have focused on the South London area where Carmel and her family had previously lived, on the North Peckham estate, before moving to Crawley less than a year before she disappeared. Carmel had many friends in that area, and nearby in Brixton and Stockwell. She had few contacts or friends in Crawley, and virtually all the information received suggests that Carmel visited the Brixton and Stockwell areas prior to her disappearance. Detective Inspector Chris Rambaugh said, "Carmel's disappearance has had widespread media attention and other publicity over many years, and although no trace of her possible whereabouts has ever been found, her disappearance has not been forgotten. Further lines of inquiry in London were identified by recent reviews, and we've been working with the Metropolitan Police to examine these and pursue them where possible, although so far they have not led to any significant developments. We have also been keeping in touch with Carmel's mother, Deirdre, and have fully discussed the case with her. She will be kept informed of any developments. Together, we and Deirdre hope that this renewed appeal, combined with the inquiries we are still carrying out, will jog memories and consciences in South London. The answer is out there, and we really want to find out what's happened, to help achieve justice and closure for her family, even after all these years. We particularly want to identify and speak to the male Carmel was last seen with on the 21st of May 1998 at Camberwell Green Magistrates Court, as they may be able to provide information that will assist us with locating her. We will always examine and, wherever possible, follow up any other new information that may lead to new lines of inquiry. On the morning of the 2nd of March 2010, Russell left the family home at West Ella to attend Bishop Burton College in Beverley, where he was studying bricklaying. It's not known if he actually attended college that day, but his Renault Clio was found 45 miles away at Bempton Cliffs, near to a former Royal Air Force bunker at Bempton on the East Yorkshire coast. Russell's car was noted by an RSPB worker at 5 p.m. on the 2nd of March 2010 and was still there when the worker returned the next morning. It had a ticket on it purchasing a full day's parking, having been bought at 11:30 a.m. on the morning of the 2nd of March. In the initial searches of the area, the former RAF bunker was checked for a living human only, something that Russell's family would go on to criticise. The Humberside Fire and Rescue Service undertook their first search using heat-sensitive cameras and torches, which would be ineffective if Russell was dead at that point. Firefighters went back and, as a training exercise, conducted a more detailed search of the bunker in December 2012. When this search was conducted, Russell's family was present at the briefing and stayed there for the full 3 hours that the fire and rescue service were inside the bunker. This search cost the family £1,200 for the bunker's concrete to be opened up, as it had been sealed because of illegal use. Searches were also undertaken on land around the bunker and Bempton Cliffs, which is a known suicide spot. The Coast Guard also helped by searching at sea and from the air. Russell's family later started court proceedings regarding the thoroughness of the search, but the case was thrown out when the recorder presiding over the case said that it was not up to the courts to determine whether or not an investigation had been handled well. Searches were also carried out at Russell's family holiday home at Ravenscart in North Yorkshire. 2 years after Russell's disappearance, his family found his best pair of training shoes at the holiday home, which they are convinced he was wearing on the day that he disappeared. Police were eager to determine what Russell's movements were 3 days before his disappearance. He'd left home and returned, without informing anyone of where he'd been or what he'd done. Investigations later established that he'd visited York, Bradford and Bridlington, but no indication of why or what he did there. It emerged that Russell had logged on to an RAF Bempton website at 7:30 a.m. on the morning that he disappeared, and had also looked at a web page about Ravenscart. His father indicated that his son had been interested in the erotic and satanic artwork that had been left on the bunker walls by a cult in the 1970s, well after the bunker had been closed. Russell had kept the information on the drawings on a USB stick, which did not match that of his computer and those at his college. The USB stick was not found during searches. Russell's family insists that a third party was involved in the disappearance, pointing to the fact that his car only had 3.8 litres of fuel in it, so it would be impossible to reach the Bempton area without refuelling. The family recreated the journeys he undertook after his car was refuelled on the 1st of March 2010, determining that the car ran out of fuel at Bransburton, which is 20 miles short of Bempton. Russell's debit card had not been used and he had very little cash on him, which the family claims is indicative of someone else being with Russell when he drove to Bempton. The family also maintained that a £300,000 payment that his father was set to give him so that he could start up a business may also be behind his disappearance. Russell's disappearance was featured as an appeal on the BBC programme Crime Watch in the summer of 2010. When the possessions that Russell had taken with him on the day he disappeared were checked by his family, it was discovered that his brown steel-toe-cap boots were missing. Human feet were found on the banks of the Humber in August and September 2010. The second find was a human foot, encased in a brown steel-toe-cap boot. After extensive investigation, it was found that the feet were not connected to Russell's disappearance. In 2019, at a coroner's inquest, the coroner said he believed Russell had somehow died in the sea off the East Yorkshire coast. His body has never been found. Assistant Coroner David Rosenberg ruled out suicide and gave a narrative verdict at the inquest in Hull. Mr. Rosenberg said he thought Russell died on the day he went missing, and based on the submissions of the police that nobody has been found, I believe somehow he died in the sea at Bempton Cliffs. We do not know how Russell came to die. Russell had communication issues but was doing well as a student at Bishop Burton College on a bricklaying course. Russell was enjoying life, enjoying independence. He had started to fly, he told the inquest. There was not enough evidence to show whether he might have tripped and fallen or suffered an asthma attack after going into an RAF bunker, he added. It is known that Russell had looked for information about the bunker at Bempton. Mr. Rosenberg told Russell's family, "The thought of what happened to Russell will haunt you for the rest of your lives." Claudia Lawrence was born in Malton, North Riding of Yorkshire, in 1974. She spent her early life with her father Peter, mother Joan and older sister Ali. Claudia's father was a prosperous solicitor and her mother was a member of Malton Town Council and served a term as mayor of the town. Claudia enjoyed a comfortable childhood and was privately educated at the York College for Girls. She later attended a local catering college and qualified as a chef. She initially worked at several hotels and restaurants in York, but became tired of the unsocial hours this involved. In 2006, she found employment at the University of York's Goodricke College, working as a chef in the canteen of the university's main campus. In 2007, Claudia purchased a terraced cottage in the York suburb of Heworth, situated about 3 miles from her place of work. Claudia was considered punctual and reliable by her employer. Claudia remained single throughout her life, while enjoying a gregarious social life. She was reported to have engaged in a series of short-term relationships, often conducted on a concurrent basis. She was reported to have had a number of covert sexual relationships with men, some of whom were married or in relationships. Claudia was discreet about this, and her family knew little about her relationships with men. This aspect of her lifestyle would later cause some media speculation and would also influence the police investigation of her disappearance. After moving to Heworth in 2007, Claudia would regularly spend evenings at the Nag's Head pub close to her home. Claudia began relationships with several men whom she met while drinking in the pub, and her father admitted that the liaisons had created awkward situations with her lovers' partners. Claudia had been on holiday to Cyprus several times, and she was believed to have explored job opportunities there. At 6 a.m. on the morning of the 18th of March 2009, Claudia started her shift at Goodricke College's Roger Kirk Centre. She completed her shift at 2 p.m. and was recorded on CCTV, leaving the college on foot a few minutes later. Around 3 p.m, she was recorded on CCTV passing a shop in Melrose Gate near her home and was seen by a neighbour. During the course of the evening, Claudia spoke to both her father and mother on her mobile phone. Her mother described Claudia's mood as normal and relaxed. The two women discussed celebrating the forthcoming Mother's Day. Claudia told her mother she was at home and that she planned to retire early, since she would have to rise before 5 a.m. the next day in order to walk to work. Her car was being repaired. She sent a final text from her mobile at 8:23 p.m. and a final incoming text was received at 9:12 p.m. Thereafter, nobody is known to have seen or heard from Claudia. On Thursday the 19th of March, Claudia was scheduled to start work at 6 a.m. She did not report for duty. Her manager called her mobile number. Although the phone rang, the call was directed to voice messaging. The manager took no further action. Claudia had previously arranged to meet her friend Susie Cooper at the Nag's Head that night. Susie attended the appointment, but Claudia didn't. Susie then attempted to contact Claudia by telephone. Claudia was normally a prolific user of her mobile, so Susie was surprised when she was unable to attract a response. Susie attempted to contact Claudia again on the morning of Friday the 20th of March, but again without success. At this point, Susie became alarmed and contacted mutual acquaintances, including George Foreman, landlord of the Nag's Head, to obtain information concerning her possible whereabouts. Susie telephoned Claudia's father, Peter, on the 20th of March to report the situation. Peter telephoned his daughter's manager at Goodricke College and was told that she had not reported for duty on either the 19th or the 20th of March. Peter then entered Claudia's home using his own key, in company with George Foreman. The two men found the house to be in an orderly state. The bed was made and there was unwashed dishes in the sink, suggesting that she'd eaten breakfast. Claudia's handbag containing her purse, bank cards and passport was in the house. The only significant items missing were her mobile phone, a set of hair straighteners, and a rucksack which she normally used to carry her chef's whites to and from work. Indications were that Claudia had left the house normally to go to work at around 5 a.m. on the morning of the 19th of March, but had never arrived. North Yorkshire Police were contacted around 2 p.m. on the 20th of March in order to report Claudia as a missing person. Police officers met with Claudia's father at her home later that day. North Yorkshire Police were initially slow to act on grounds that Claudia was not a vulnerable person and there was no obvious evidence of violence. They considered it likely that she'd decided to absent herself and would reappear after a few days. However, North Yorkshire Police officers checked her route to work and sent out a public request for information. Claudia's family became increasingly insistent that she must have been abducted. After 5 weeks, North Yorkshire Police upgraded the inquiry from a missing person one to one of suspected murder. The original North Yorkshire Police's investigation of Claudia's disappearance considered various possibilities, including that Claudia had left with a new lover, or to take up a new job, or merely to take a break. However, as time went on, Claudia's family became increasingly insistent that she would have contacted them had she been able to do so. The possibility that Claudia had left voluntarily was eventually dismissed. That Claudia had suffered an accident or medical emergency on her way into work. The route from her home to her place of work was checked at an early stage, and no trace of her was found. This possibility was quickly dismissed. That Claudia had been the victim of a chance encounter with a serial killer. Reports were made of various people behaving strangely in the Heworth area in the days leading up to Claudia's disappearance. These reports were investigated, but without conclusive result. Cases of known serial killers who might have been active in the area were also considered, but discounted. That Claudia had been the victim of a person known to her. Criminal profilers suspect Claudia knew her attacker and suspect her personal life holds the clue to her disappearance. Most murder victims know their killer. One critical piece of evidence was that Claudia's mobile phone remained on until 12:10 p.m. on the 19th of March, at which time it was deliberately switched off. It was determined that the phone had been connected to a mast in the Heworth area of York throughout the morning of the 19th of March and up to the point it was switched off. This indicates that the phone itself did not leave the local area. The only CCTV camera on Claudia's most direct route to work was at the Melrose Gate post office, and the recording from the morning of the 19th of March did not show Claudia passing, although that is not critical since she might have passed out of camera view or used a parallel street. The independent crime-fighting charity Crime Stoppers offered a reward of £10,000 to anyone providing information which would lead to the arrest and conviction of any person linked to the disappearance. Several other appeals were launched in 2009. In September 2009, North Yorkshire Police revealed that the search for Claudia had been extended to Cyprus. Detective Superintendent Ray Galloway stated that Claudia knew several people who lived on the island and that she may have received job offers while there. Galloway also stated that some people who'd been interviewed had been reluctant and less than candid when spoken to, and that a team of officers had been sent to Cyprus to interview people whom Claudia met there. It was reported that the last text message received by Claudia was from a man from the island. Later in September, detectives made a search of an area of the University of York campus. In October, North Yorkshire Police revealed that they were looking for the driver of a rusty white van who was seen trying to talk to women on Claudia's route to work in the days before she disappeared. On the 24th of March 2010, North Yorkshire Police began searching areas of Heslington in York based on new information received in the last few days. On the 24th of March, land near to a children's play area near a muddy farm track was searched, and on the 25th of March the search was relocated to a field near the university, an area of land which is bordered by playing fields and student accommodation. Nothing of significance was discovered. The search at Heslington was later considered to have been prompted by hoax information. In June 2013, North Yorkshire Police announced the £300,000 creation of a new major crime unit, set up to ease the burden on day-to-day policing, and to also review cold cases. In July 2013, North Yorkshire Police said the unit would assess several stalled cases when it opened in October, including Claudia's disappearance. The Major Crime Unit subsequently assessed Claudia's case and carried out new forensic searches at her home on Heworth Road. Using what were described as advanced techniques not available in 2009, the MCU found additional fingerprints and a man's DNA on a cigarette end in her car. Work surrounding her mobile phone showed from cell site activity that she'd spent time in the Acomb area of York in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. On the 5th anniversary of her disappearance, a new appeal was made on Crime Watch, which aired on the 19th of March 2014. CCTV footage, recovered in 2009, showed a silver Ford Focus hatchback car, manufactured between 1998 and 2004, driving along Heworth Road. The car's brake lights come on as it approaches level with Claudia's cottage. The new investigation led to a number of arrests, but those concerned were all released and none were charged. In 2015, police released CCTV footage of an unidentified man walking nearby to the alleyway at the rear of Claudia's home on the 18th of March 2009 at 7:15 p.m. and the 19th of March 2009 at 5:07 a.m. and 5:50 a.m. One Sky News journalist stated, "Claudia apparently lived a significant part of her life in secret. For a privately educated daughter of a country solicitor, Claudia had some unusual acquaintances, and this remains the only missing person case where I have been warned off or threatened, not once, but twice." To this day, Claudia's whereabouts are still unknown. Luke lived with his mother Nikki and sister Alicia in Hollesley, Suffolk, both of whom he shared a close relationship with. An avid guitarist, he enrolled in a music technology course at a college in Colchester, Essex, although he dropped out after a year due to issues with the daily commute. Luke then worked periodical jobs over the next year, until acquiring a job at a greengrocer in Aldborough, a month and a half before his disappearance. Luke has been described as easygoing and affectionate, often bringing back groceries to cook for his mother and sister. His family stated his disappearance was uncharacteristic, having always been communicative over his whereabouts. Luke's friend Alex, a chef in London, had returned for the weekend to see friends and family, prompting Luke to take time off work alongside another friend, Zach. Luke rode his new motorbike to Alex's place in Woodbridge, planning to spend the night. At Alex's home he left his motorbike, as well as his wallet, keys, phone and a change of clothes. Luke wore a black, grey, long-sleeve collared shirt under a reversible plum grey sweatshirt, alongside faded denim jeans with a motif on the side thigh and brown suede shoes. After some drinks at a local pub, Luke, Alex and Zach then took a cab from Woodbridge to Ipswich to go clubbing at Zest nightclub, although Alex took a taxi back shortly after, having had too much to drink. After some hours at Zest nightclub, Luke lost contact with Zach after the latter went to purchase drinks. Luke was reported at Ipswich train station, a 5-minute walk from Zest nightclub, between the hours of 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. After being told no trains were running, Luke is next spotted on CCTV at around 3:45 a.m, heading toward Hawk Express cabs. Having left his wallet at Alex's place, the receptionist suggested Luke call his mother for her bank card details. He refused, stating he did not wish to wake her. Luke is then spotted on CCTV walking across the zebra crossing on Dogs Head Street, headed towards the bus station at 4 a.m. This is the last positive sighting of Luke. Shortly after, a silver or white Volvo 440 is caught on CCTV with the registration M206LYE, later discovered to be false plates. The vehicle is of primary interest to investigators. The next day, Luke's family assumed he'd gone to work, although after contacting friends and his work over his whereabouts, he was reported missing by his mother. A witness reported seeing an individual matching Luke's description walking near Foxhall Stadium in Ipswich on the 12th of May 2006 between 7:30 and 8 a.m. This lead was reinvestigated in mid-late 2011 but failed to produce new evidence. On the 13th of May 2006, between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m, 2 witnesses reported seeing Luke in a dark blue Renault Megane being driven by a man near the Turban Centre car park in Quayside, Woodbridge. In late March 2007, a classmate of Luke's from Farlingay High School reported seeing him outside Aldwych Theatre in Drury Lane, London. After the fatal shooting of a patron in December 2006, a police appeal to the Ipswich Borough's Council led to a revocation of Zest nightclub's licence, leading to an immediate closure in January 2007. Council members cited the club's reputation for attracting violent criminals and failing to ensure a safe environment as grounds for its closure. In August 2011, a 29-year-old man and a 24-year-old woman were arrested for identity fraud after using Luke's details to make online purchases in August 2007. The pair were questioned but ultimately released. In June 2012, a 40-year-old man and a 25-year-old were arrested on suspicion of the murder of Luke. Both were released without charge. A Channel 5 documentary, Missing or Murdered: The Disappearance of Luke Durbin, contained information that Luke was involved in county lines drug dealing and had taken cocaine on the night that he went out with his friends. Police suggest he may have come to harm for owing money. Retired Detective Chief Inspector John Brocklebank, who worked on the case, said, "Having a debt within a network we would now call county lines has consequences." The documentary, part of the Missing or Murdered series, also reveals that Luke had drug-dealing connections in Brixton, South London. Whatever the case, Luke is still missing, and somebody out there must know something. Georgina Gharsallah was born in Brighton, Sussex in 1987. Her parents were Andrea and Georgina Gharsallah. Georgina was a Libyan who attended university in Brighton, where he met Andrea, who was English. The couple had 4 daughters, of whom Georgina, or Gina, was the second eldest. Shortly after Georgina was born, the family relocated to Libya, where they lived until 1998. Georgina spoke Arabic. After returning to the UK, the family settled in Worthing. It was reported that Georgina suffered from mental health issues, including bulimia and social anxiety. At the time of her disappearance, she was unemployed and was recently estranged from a partner. She had 2 children by an earlier partner. Georgina had moved back in with her mother, although she was still meeting her most recent former partner regularly. She would sometimes stay with friends in Brighton. Family members reported that she was prone to binge drinking. Although intelligent and articulate, Georgina did not develop a stable lifestyle or career. Georgina left her mother's house on Wednesday the 7th of March 2018 at around 9:30 a.m. She told her mother that she was having problems with her mobile phone and that she would visit a phone store to seek advice. She also stated that she would visit the Job Centre Plus in Worthing Town Centre and would meet her father later in the morning. She asked for and received a small loan from her mother to pay for the cost of repairing the phone. She was recorded on CCTV at around 9:50 a.m, entering the nearby Clifton Food and Wine shop in Clifton Road, Worthing. The shop manager would later state that Georgina had asked him for help with her phone and that he had directed her to a specialty phone store. This would be the last confirmed sighting of Georgina. She did not visit the job centre and did not keep her appointment with her father. There is no record or recollection of her entering any of the phone stores in Worthing that day. Subsequent tracking of her mobile phone indicated its last use at 3 a.m. on the day, and that it had left the network shortly after 11:30 a.m, while still connected to a local mast in Worthing. It never reconnected to the network. Georgina's bank accounts and bank cards were never used again. Andrea was not initially disturbed when Georgina did not return to her house later that day, since she was familiar with her daughter's lifestyle. She assumed that Georgina had either gone to stay with friends or had returned to her ex-partner. It was only the following week that Andrea became alarmed. Georgina failed to make arrangements to host her 2 sons for the weekend as was normal. Her ex-partner telephoned to say that he'd not heard from Georgina for some days and was concerned about her. Andrea spent several days attempting to contact her daughter without success. She contacted Sussex Police on Saturday the 17th of March 2018 to report Georgina as a missing person. The Sussex Police investigation of Georgina's disappearance was significantly slow to get started. In recent years, an average of around 350,000 people per year are reported missing in England and Wales. The large majority of these cases are quickly resolved when the missing person reappears or is traced. Police do not prioritise cases where the missing person is not vulnerable and where there is no evidence of violence. The homes of Georgina's mother, Andrea, and ex-partners were searched, and checks were initiated on her mobile phone and bank accounts. CCTV recordings from the immediate vicinity of Andrea's house were checked, and this disclosed the recording of Georgina at a shop in Clifton Road. A public appeal for information was made. After 3 weeks, the disappearance was considered suspicious, and the investigation was upgraded, but it made little progress. Various theories for Georgina's disappearance were considered, including that she'd gone away voluntarily to escape problem issues in her life. This was plausible given issues in her life history. She was known to have had associations in Brighton, London, and with a wider Arab circle, who might have assisted in such an escape, but she never subsequently contacted friends or family members. Given Georgina's closeness to her 2 young children, this theory is improbable. That she committed suicide in a manner that did not allow her body to be found. This was plausible given aspects of her personal history, although that history contained no suggestion of suicidal intent. That she'd been abducted and murdered. A variation on this is that she suffered a misadventure, and people she was with found it expedient to conceal her body rather than report the matter. In the absence of evidence to the contrary, This is considered the most likely explanation of her fate. Georgina's family sought information via appeals over social media. Notably, Andrea set up a Facebook page, and this attracted many reported sightings, offers of information and comments. Andrea passed much of this on to the police, who did not find it all to be credible. Potential witnesses would often withdraw or modify information when approached by detectives. Some of the reported sightings were determined to be cases of mistaken identity. 2 men were briefly arrested as a result of such a report, but were quickly released without charge. CCTV footage was obtained by police from many sites in Worthing, and one item was judged relevant. At around 3:30 p.m. on the 7th of March 2018, 2 women were recorded together in the town centre of Worthing, and one of them resembled Georgina. The video footage was circulated by the police in August 2019 with a request for information, but the 2 women were never identified. Some observers questioned whether the woman in the afternoon video was actually Georgina. One obvious discrepancy is that Georgina was wearing black high-heel boots in the morning video at Clifton Road, but the woman in the town centre that afternoon was wearing tan-coloured flat-heeled boots. For the 2 to be the same person, it would require that Georgina had changed her footwear during the day. The case was featured on the BBC Crime Watch TV programme in October 2018. The Crime Stoppers charity offered a £5,000 reward for information leading to the conviction of Georgina's abductor. In August 2019, the police finally upgraded the investigation to that of a murder inquiry, at which point the Crime Stoppers reward was raised to £10,000. A Channel 4 TV documentary show investigated Georgina's case in 2025. The investigation paid significant attention to Georgina's associations in the Brighton area. She had worked for a time in a Brighton kebab shop, then owned and used as a business hub by an Albanian crime family. This family reportedly supplied Class A drugs in the Brighton and Worthing area. The family gang enjoyed a reputation for violence. Georgina appeared to be well acquainted with members of this family. The father of her 2 children had also worked in the kebab shop. Senior Investigating Officer, Detective Superintendent Andy Wolstenholme, made a fresh plea to find the missing mum. Georgina is loved and missed by so many people: her mother, her father, her children, her sisters and her friends. They are desperate for answers about what happened to her on this day in March 2018. Don't you think they deserve to know? Put yourself in their shoes. They've endured endless sleepless nights waiting for Georgina to come home. They've replayed conversations and moments spent with Georgina, not realising at the time they would be the last ones before she disappeared. They've not been able to move forward with their lives for fear of leaving Georgina behind. Imagine if that was someone you loved. How would you cope with such torment? You have the power to change that. The information you have could bring an end to all the unanswered questions and provide some form of closure to Georgina's family. Keeping that to yourself is a lot to have on your conscience, isn't it? We know you might be scared, but that's why we give people the option to report anonymously through Crime Stoppers. No one ever needs to know the information came from you. You might not know the whole truth, and you might think the small snippet of information you have is irrelevant. It's not. Are you protecting someone? If so, ask yourself the question, would they do the same for you if things got tough or the tables were turned? We're asking you to do the right thing and share the information with us. Do it for yourself, to be free from that burden of knowledge. Do it for Georgina's family and friends, to ease the anguish of not knowing what happened to her. Do it for Georgina, because she deserves justice. What's stopping you? And that, my lovelies, brings us to the end of this video. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you to my mods. And hopefully this video, if it's seen by just one person who knows anything about any of the cases and they come forward, that's what it's all about raising awareness of people that have gone missing. So I hope you've enjoyed it. So a little update on my toe. I went back on the 4th of July and the surgeon's happy to keep it as it is, me keep dressing it and then go in for regular checkups. I may lose some of my toe with all the shedding that's going on, but at least I've still got some of a toe. But I'm going back again this Friday, which is the 11th, to have it rechecked and redressed again. I'm doing it in between, but with blurred vision and looking away from it. But that's where I'm up to now. So, next time's video is going to be a subject I haven't really covered before. I may have mentioned little bits in other videos, but I shall keep you in the dark about that, and it'll be a surprise, won't it? So until then, look after yourselves, look after each other, and don't forget, stay spooky.